I was kind of planning on doing another video, like a review of some sorts, but I kind of just wanted to take a break from making reviews since they take a lot of time to make, and I really don't have that anymore. I ended up watching Daft Pina's video on tracing, which I'll link below, and that kind of inspired me to share my experience with tracing, because yes, I used to trace artwork at one point, which I'll get into later on in this video. I kind of wanted to talk about that experience and give my whole input on the argument, is tracing bad? Anyways, sit back, grab a snack, and let's get on to this video. So first, let's start off with my experience with tracing. I believe I have mentioned it briefly before, but not into full length. I've been doing digital art for a while. I started around late 2014 going on to 2015. I used Microsoft Paint and the circle tool quite frequently in my art during this time. I soon strayed away from Microsoft Paint and introduced myself to Fire Alpaca, which I know a lot of you have heard of. During this time, I was using my mouse to draw. I ended up finding out about drawing tablets and I got Wacom Intuos in 2016. And that's where I started tracing. I really don't remember why I started in the first place. I guess it was most likely because I was very insecure about my real artwork and I really didn't know how to use my tablet, but I really should be making excuses. If you look at my real artwork at the time, it was really bad. My line work was unconfident and I really didn't have a set style, so I constantly switched styles every single week. And if you looked at my trace artwork, it wasn't any better. I used tracing for a while till I started forcing myself to actually draw, and since then, I haven't really traced in over 2 years. It really didn't help me improve at all, and it was just blocking me from improving and learning how to draw by myself. So now, let's talk about the whole tracing debate with the knowledge of my experience. So when I think of tracing, the most common form I think of is when I see someone tracing over someone else's work and claiming it as their own. That's what I pretty much did. By creating artwork in this way, you're not improving. Your growth as an artist is stagnant. An example of this was with animation memer Crystally, whatever his name is. He constantly traced over animation memers and anime. His art style was constantly switching and it always looked stiff and unreal. But we all know how that ended. All you're doing is hurting yourself in the original artist, which isn't good. It's not okay to partake in tracing in this manner, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all forms of tracing is bad for an artist. There's also been an argument going around about tracing over reference pictures to understand things like anatomy, form, perspective, and etc. I could understand an artist using this as a way to study the things that I listed, especially if you partake in doing stuff like realism. It is essential sometimes to use references and to trace to get shapes down, but if you're tracing the whole photo, you're not learning anything. I do want to mention and emphasize that there is a thick, bold line between using references to draw and tracing. I look at something like tracing as using crunches. You can't always rely on it. You soon need to break free and force yourself into trying new things, even though you may be out of your comfort zone. Using things like references will help you improve because you start learning it yourself on your art journey rather than relying on tracing. Tracing might help you learn for a little bit, but then your growth is stagnant, like I mentioned before. Drawing is hard. Not everything you're going to produce is going to be Da Vinci level. You need to learn and move away from something like tracing. So before I end this video, I want to give advice for someone who traces. I highly recommend to try stopping so it doesn't stunt your growth any further. If you truly want to make art, you need to learn how to do it by yourself. Like I said, it's going to be hard, and your art isn't always going to look the best at first, but that's the whole purpose and the whole drawing experience. And try just not to be hard on yourself. I truly think if you put the effort and care into drawing, you will improve. So, do I think tracing is bad? It just really depends on how you use it. If you abuse it, it's pretty bad. But if you use it as a learning technique and not abuse it, I don't see it as necessarily bad. I hope this video gives you insight if you ever thought about tracing, has traced, or never even thought of tracing. Anyways, that's all for this video. I'm sorry that I'm not uploading as much anymore. I did recently start high school and that's been crazy for me. Hopefully further on I can start uploading more frequently again. I highly doubt that, but anyways, goodbye.